Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. and felt your mind turn into a courtroom? A stale thought about a failure from 20 years ago suddenly appears. A vague anxiety about tomorrow's health begins to gnaw. You try to push them away, but the harder you push, the more they cling. Have you ever felt that way? That feeling of being betrayed by your own mind? Welcome to Buddha Essence Wisdom, the essence of Buddhist insight. Today we are going to unravel one of life's greatest mysteries: how to escape the tyranny of negative thoughts, especially as we enter the sunset years of our lives. I want you to imagine this. Look up at the sky. Your negative thoughts, the fears, the regrets, the self-criticism, they are just clouds. There are stormy clouds and there are gentle white clouds, but no matter how big they are, they can never truly harm the sky, which is your true awareness. This is the liberating truth. You are not your thoughts. They are merely mental weather, spontaneously arising and passing away. Freedom doesn't come when the clouds disappear, but when you stop believing you must chase or fight them. If this sharing brings you a little bit of peace, even for just a moment, please hit the subscribe button to support me in continuing to bring you more profound videos. Thank you. If we are not our thoughts, then what exactly are we supposed to do when those storm clouds roll in? Here is the first and most powerful method the Buddha taught. It's a radical choice, an act of non-action. When a negative thought appears, most of us do only two things. We either fight it. I shouldn't be thinking this, which creates tension and unnecessary resistance, or we feed it. Maybe this is true. Things are definitely going to get worse, which multiplies our suffering. Buddhism offers a liberating third choice. Don't fight, don't feed, just see. I want you to imagine this. You are no longer the person on the ground worrying about the rain. Instead, you are sitting in a quiet room, simply noting what is happening outside the window. This technique is called mental noting. When the thought, "I'm not good enough," arises, instead of spiraling into that narrative, you simply and gently acknowledge it and whisper internally, "Ah, a self-critical thought is present." Or even more simply, thinking. That tiny act is priceless. It's like placing a distance marker between you and the thought. The moment you note it without reacting to it, you have stepped out of the storm. You are no longer trapped in the thought, but become the one observing it pass. And nothing can control the observer who refuses to cling. If observation opens the door to freedom, then releasing helps us permanently close the door to suffering. Here is a profound truth we often forget as we age: the power of impermanence. Everything that arises must also pass. This is true not just for seasons and lifetimes, but for every single fleeting thought in our heads. What is the problem? We don't let the thoughts pass. We cling to them. We replay regretted conversations from 20 years ago. We dramatize potential disasters in the future. This clinging turns a momentary flicker into hours of agony. So the practice is gentle. Don't react, don't replace. As we learned earlier this time, simply let it fade. I want you to imagine you are sitting by a river. Leaves fall onto the water, one labeled regret, another labeled fear. You would never jump in to grab them, nor do you need to chase them. You simply observe them floating away slowly, naturally. When a weary old thought appears, simply whisper internally, "This is a thought passing, neither true nor false, just passing." And then you do nothing. No energy, no storytelling, no resistance. Thoughts are like fire, they burn only when you keep feeding them with attachment. When you withdraw your attention, the flame quietly fades on its own. Remember this deeply. What you don't cling to cannot control you. This is true liberation. We now move to a profound insight, one particularly relevant to those of us in our later years, relinquishing the role of the problem solver. This insight comes from observing the habits of the aging mind. For decades, many of us defined ourselves by our capability to solve problems in business, in family, in life. Our minds were powerful, relentless problem solvers. It was a necessary, successful habit. But here is the turning point of mature wisdom. At this stage of life, many of the deepest challenges, illness, the natural decline of the body, the inevitable loss of loved ones are simply not solvable problems in the traditional sense. When a wave of anxiety about the future washes over you, the mind defaults to frantically searching for a solution, a fix. This only exhausts us because no immediate fix exists for impermanence. So I invite you to consciously make a shift in your practice. Transition your role from the problem solver to the witness. The goal is no longer to find a solution for the thought, but to simply witness the thoughts rising and passing, and then to cherish the silence that remains. This stillness is not something you have to manufacture. It is the inherent, untouched peace that was already present the moment you ceased your grasping. By becoming the witness, you acknowledge the problem without being dragged into the perpetual cycle of solving the unsolvable. Now that we understand how to step away from our thoughts, let's look at the ultimate destination of this journey. What is the real aim of Buddhist mind training? The highest goal is not to force silence upon the mind. You cannot truly suppress it. The supreme goal is simply to stop the mind from ruling you. Freedom is not the absence of thoughts. It is the ability to let them come and go without losing your inner peace. The Buddha often compared the untrained mind to a restless monkey leaping from branch to branch, noisy, agitated, and never still. But through these methods of observation and release, the same mind begins its transformation. The trained mind becomes like a calm lake, reflecting everything clearly, the light, the shadows, the clouds, without being disturbed by the ripples. You realize something extraordinary. You are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they arise and dissolve. You are the vast, untouched ocean, and your thoughts are merely the waves on the surface. When the mind rests in this awareness, it is no longer your commander. It becomes your ally, a servant of deep peace. Let us move now to the second key practice, which deepens our transformation. Once we have learned to simply observe, we can now choose what we want to cultivate. The Buddha taught us to view our mind as a garden, the garden of the soul. If you leave a garden unattended, weeds will always grow on their own, the weeds of anger, fear, and regret. But if you tend to it with conscious care, you can intentionally grow kindness, patience, and compassion. The practical application is simple but profound. When you notice a weed, a negative, critical thought, you don't fight it, you replace it with its opposite. This is not about forcing a fake, cheerful positivity. It is what we call wise thinking. For example, when the old fear arises, instead of allowing the mind to spiral into what ifs, you breathe and gently plant the seed of trust, affirming, "In this moment, I am safe." When self-judgment hits, "I'm not good enough," you counter it, not with ego, but with truth. "I am learning, I am growing, I am doing my best." You are not denying reality. You are consciously guiding your mind away from wandering into darkness. Remember, Just like a fire dies when you stop adding wood, a negative thought loses all its power when you refuse to feed it and instead consciously nourish a different, wiser energy. This is how you train the mind to become an ally. Let me share an observation from decades of teaching those of us in this age group. Many seniors, especially those who carry the weight of decades of responsibility, often compound their suffering by feeling guilty about their own negative thoughts or regrets. The inner critic says, "You're a failure for even having this negative thought." My advice is simple yet revolutionary. Do not be harsh with your own thoughts. When you use the technique of mental noting, saying, a self-critical thought is present, go one vital step further and add a touch of metta or loving kindness. When you note the fear, gently whisper, "May this fear be at peace," or "May this feeling of regret be accepted." This practice of sending compassion to your own inner landscape does two essential things. First, it soothes the inner drama, immediately lowering the temperature of the anxiety. Second, and more profoundly, it stops the personalization of the thought. You realize that this fear or regret is just energy, a transient vibration in the mind, something that deserves to be met with kindness, accepted, and then naturally released. You move from judging the thought to simply loving the awareness that holds it. Finally, let us address one of the most significant challenges for many of us in our later years, particularly here in the West, the anxiety surrounding the decline of the body and the ultimate inevitability of death. This fear can consume enormous energy. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to use this very fear as a powerful tool for awakening, a practice known as maranasati, or recollection of death. When the mind begins to spin, when it starts clinging to the future by projecting scenarios of illness, pain, and loss, it is a signal. It is your mind trapped in what might be, ignoring what is. At that very moment, the practice is to radically intensify your commitment to the here and now. Stop the frantic grasping toward a future you cannot control, and channel that energy back into the present moment. Focus intently on the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. Feel the solid touch of your feet on the ground beneath you. When you are fully anchored in the truth of the present, the breath, the touch, the sounds that are real, now the fear of the future automatically loses its foundation to cling to. We trade the exhaustion of future worry for the profound peace of being perfectly present just as we are. The entire journey we have shared today, moving from the chaotic courtroom of the mind to the stillness of the witness, culminates in one profound and liberating truth. This is not about achieving some far-off spiritual prize. It is about witnessing the natural, inevitable consequences of a mind well trained. When you consistently practice the three methods, observing without judgment, planting the seeds of wise thinking, and gently releasing your grasp on the fleeting past and future, a marvelous transformation occurs. The reward is not external, it is an internal realignment. In the beginning, those negative thoughts, the old ingrained anxieties, felt like sharp knives. They had the power to cut deeply into your day, defining your mood, stealing your sleep. But think about the process we have learned. Every time you met a thought with simple noting, you refused to grab the handle of the knife. Every time you consciously replaced a critical voice with a voice of self-compassion, you dulled the blade. Every time you watched a regret float down the river of impermanence, you removed the knife's sheath. The achievement of this practice is not the immediate silencing of the mind, but the fact that these familiar negative thoughts lose their sharpness. They still appear, The mind, like the old clock on the wall, will keep ticking, but they no longer define your day. They lose their gravity. They become transparent. They dissolve faster, almost shyly, because they no longer find the nourishment of your belief and your energy. And what rises in their place is not forced optimism, but something far more durable and authentic. As the noise subsides, space emerges, and in that space, 3 gentle, powerful guests arrive unbidden. Gratitude for the simple reality of the present moment. Compassion for yourself and others, recognizing that all beings struggle with the untrained mind. And a quiet joy, not happiness, dependent on external circumstances, but a deep foundational contentment that simply rests in being alive and aware. This is the natural state of the mind when the heavy chains of clinging are lifted. For decades, we were conditioned to believe that peace was something we had to create a finish line on a treadmill of achievement, wealth, or perfect health. We were the relentless problem solvers, always seeking peace out there in the future. Yet the deepest wisdom reveals that this search was always futile, because the truth is stunningly simple. Peace is not something you create. It is what remains when you stop striving, struggling, and clinging. I want you to think back to the metaphor of the sky and the clouds. The clouds can be dense, dark, and terrifying, but the sky itself never moves, never changes its nature, and is never harmed. It is vast, boundless, and permanently at peace. Your true awareness is that sky. It has no beginning, no end, and no problem that needs solving. When we practice moving from the problem solver to the witness, we are simply shifting our identity from the restless, busy cloud to the steady, spacious sky. You don't have to do anything to the sky, you just need to rest as it. This recognition brings a relief so profound it changes the very architecture of your being. The peace you were desperately seeking in the next achievement, the next diagnosis, the next moment was always available, hidden beneath the noise you were generating. So how do we confirm this truth right now? How do we find the unmistakable, tangible proof of this peace? It is found in the simplest, most accessible anchor, the breath and the sacred space it reveals. I invite you now, wherever you are sitting, to join me in this final moment of practice. Let us leave behind the complex ideas, the powerful metaphors, and the 3-part methods. Let us simply come home, take a deep, slow breath, draw it gently down into the belly, hold it for a moment, and then release it completely, letting the shoulders drop, letting the jaw soften. Do it again. Inhale, exhale, and as you release the breath, notice what happens next. Notice the pause. Notice the quiet. Now be very attentive to the process of thinking. A thought arises. Perhaps it is the memory of this lecture. Perhaps it is a worry about dinner. Let it be there. But then as that thought fades, notice the brief, pure moment of silence, the space before the next thought begins to form. That space, that silent, empty moment between the fading of one thought and the arising of the next, is the dwelling place of peace. It is the raw, untainted awareness. It is the tangible proof that you are not ruled by the noise. It is the peace that was promised. It was not far away, hidden in a monastery or a perfect retirement plan. It was here in this breath, in this silent space, waiting patiently for you to simply notice it. The practice of peace. My friends, is nothing more than returning to that space one breath at a time. It is not about becoming perfect. It is about remembering who you truly are. Calm, aware, and eternally free. The next time a painful thought arises, smile softly. not a cynical smile, but a knowing, compassionate one, and whisper to it, as wisdom has whispered across the ages, this too shall pass, because it always does. If this journey has brought you stillness, insight, or comfort, I invite you to subscribe to Buddha Essence Wisdom. Let us continue walking this path together, one breath, one moment of peace, one conscious step at a time. May you rest in the space of your own beautiful awareness.